Talofa koe, this is Pacific Waves from RNZ Pacific. I'm Susanna Swiswiki. Coming up,
the feedback from our communities and the insights that they give us from their lived experience.
Health, housing and education. We take a look at the new strategy for New Zealand's Pacific People's Ministry. Also,
what I took away from that experience is I am grateful to where I am as a Pacific man.
Tau Holonga Niue, a new docu-series shines a light on the people of Niue. And it's a big year for Pacific sport. Iliesa Tora joins me with all the details. In New Zealand, the Ministry of Pacific Peoples have published a new strategy to help deliver on the government's priorities for Pacific communities. The 3-year plan is focused on economic growth, health, housing, education and law and order. Suana Aholele reports.
Secretary for Pacific Peoples, Gerardine Clifford Lidstone, says delivering for Pacific communities strategy builds on previous strategies, engaging with government agencies, providers and individuals in the wider communities.
Where we see a lot of difference, I guess, is the feedback from our communities and the insights that they give us from their lived experience and how we might focus on some of these things.
The report reveals priorities and values are changing in the community. The demographic is shifting. Of the 67% Pacific Islanders that are born in Aotearoa, 91% are under 15 years old. She says the traditional ways of communicating to the community in the 60s and 70s has now changed.
Thinking about the role of the church going forward and where people receive information is still very important to us, but we're seeing the numbers diminish. And traditionally, we put a lot of information through church groups and church leadership to inform our community. But many of our young people, their primary source of information is social media.
Clifford Lidstone says the funding boost for Pacific Wardens in the 2025 New Zealand budget is a positive.
But they were largely voluntary and it was difficult for them to be able to build a really good kind of community-based response network. So the money that came under Law and Order, which was new money in Budget 25, was to provide funding for our Pacific Wardens.
The ministry has suffered recent cuts of nearly $36 million over the next 4 years, but Clifford Lidstone says this does not affect delivering much needed support.
At the moment, we have been really lucky that where we have had cuts, it's been in some of our back office functions rather than directly with services that we provide to our community.
The report says the strategy aims to provide tangible outcomes and ongoing support for the Pacifica community in Aotearoa.
Despite having one of the smallest populations in the Pacific, the people of Niue continue to make an impact, whether it's on their island or across the globe. That legacy is at the heart of Descendants of Niue, Tau Holonga Niue, a new documentary series following Niueans who are navigating identity, belonging and what home really means. Coco Lance has more.
Producer and director Sandra Kailahi says the idea grew from a simple but powerful desire to return.
So it's a character-driven documentary series. There are 5 episodes following 6 people, and each of them have their own story. So 2 of them currently live in Niue, and 3 of them are the diaspora. They live, outside of Niue. So we wanted to connect them back to going to Niue and what that entailed about finding their identity, their heritage, and their personal journey and knowing what it means to be Niuean.
Among them is 19-year-old Hector Jack, who travelled to Niue with his father to experience his heritage firsthand.
Stories are told, but when you're there, it's an entirely different game changer, and I really do mean that. And it's also important for me as someone who has never been connected with with any of my heritage, because I only grew up in New Zealand. But to go there to the motherland and to learn about it there, it's a whole different thing, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity.
For Hector Jack, the journey was also about seeing his father, Vela, in a new light.
Every time feelings are brought up, like the conversation to him, he always shuts off anything like that. But to see him to actually be in his feelings and to talk about it as well, to be open about it, yeah, it was the first time that I saw him be like that. To see him in a vulnerable state, and it was very different. But it was actually really good for him to find peace within himself and what he's been through.
Vela says returning to Niue became a moment of reconciliation across generations, acknowledging past family trauma while also remembering the beauty of his homeland.
A story is about myself and taking my son and also making peace with my father who, in Niue, that's what the story is about for me.
He says the experience forced reflection, not just as a Niuean man, but as a Pacific man wanting to set an example.
What I took away from that experience is I am grateful to where I am as a Pacific man, as a Pacific male. I'm 55 years old, wise in terms of who I am. I'm lucky that I'm able to express my feeling as a Pacific man. I don't have to hold it. There's no rage. There's still a lot of rage in me, but it's on the creative floor.
The Descendants of Niue Tau Holonga series premiered last night and will soon be shown across the Pacific.
2026 is set to be another busy sporting year. Since January 17th, the new Oceania Football Confederation Professional League, or the OFC Pro League, kicked off what many believe will be a game changer for football in the region. In February, the annual Super Rugby Pacific competition will also roll off, running for another 18 weeks at least. Later on in the year, we will witness the 2026 Rugby League World Cup, jointly hosted by Australia, New Zealand and Papua New Guinea. Joining me is our senior sports journalist Iliesa Tora for our first Sipoti Talanoa for the year. Bula Ili, the OFC Pro League has taken off and teams are in Port Moresby this weekend. What can we expect there?
Yeah, Mbula Vinaka, and good to be back for 2026. In fact, the Pro League started off 2 weeks ago in Auckland. Despite the turn in the weather, there were games that were postponed and still to be played. The second round of the new competition is ready to kick off in Port Moresby from Saturday, and it's going to be another interesting round of matches, with matches happening from Saturday throughout the next week, and hopefully with the predicted good weather there is going to be more exciting matches seen. After the first round, Auckland City lead with 9 points, winning all their three first round matches, and South Melbourne FC second with 6 points, with the Solomon Kings and South Island United third and fourth, with Bula FC at fifth with a point. The second round matches will kick off with Vanuatu United FC taking on Tahiti United in the first game, and then the local side, PNG Hekari United, face the unbeaten Auckland FC in what should be an interesting clash. On Sunday, the South Island FC from down south here in New Zealand will face South Melbourne, and Bula FC take on Solomon Kings in the first two rounds of the second round of matches. So, basically, there have been some interesting games. There have been some interesting moments, history being made, and we look forward to more exciting matches over the weekend and, of course, into the new week.
Also happening this weekend, Ili, we've got the Sevens Rugby, which Singapore will be hosting, with Fiji representing the Pacific countries. How is that event shaping up?
After Dubai and Cape Town in late November and early December last year, the first two tournaments in this current series, the men's competition has Fiji, New Zealand and South Africa sharing the top three spots, with 32 points each, heading into Singapore, which kicks off on Saturday and goes into Sunday. In the women's competition, New Zealand and Australia are leading with 38 points each. But there is going to be a lot of interesting matches, of course, also in the next 2 days. Simply because the competition structure now demands that the 8 teams in the men's and the 8 teams in the women's competition will have to fight to keep winning their matches. Otherwise, they will drop out of the the race for the top positions. In the men's competition, Fiji will meet Great Britain first up, and then take on Spain on Saturday, and then South Africa early Sunday, New Zealand time. And in the women's competition, Australia, USA, and Japan are going to be the Fijiana women's team. Then. What happens after next weekend is that the tournament will then move to Perth next week, and then Vancouver in March, and then New York in the middle of March, before the World Championship kicks off in April in Hong Kong. So to be in contention for top spots at the World Championship, all teams that are playing in the current series must keep trying to win games and keep finishing in the top 4 at least. So interesting in Singapore this weekend. A lot of focus will be on how the teams in the bottom of the current competition will fare against the current point leaders.
As mentioned earlier, the Super Rugby Pacific competition will kick off next month. How are the Pacific teams, particularly Moana Pacifica and Fijian Drua, how are preparations for them coming along?
They've both been having tough sessions over the off season, meaning Christmas and New Year's holiday, and now into the pre-season. There have been some very tough sessions, I could say, in both camps. In Nandi for the Fijian Drua, and of course in North Harbour in Albany for Moana Pacifica. The interesting thing now with the Fijian Drua is they have just announced the signing of former French international and Fijian native Rimi Vakatawa to be part of the Drua squad for the 2026 season. Rimi is with the team right now in Tauranga, where the Drua was playing the Chiefs in their pre-season game. And another notable inclusion in the Drua lineup now is the recruitment of former Wallaby Isaac Lelewasa, who has also been with the team over the last few weeks and settling into the Drua setup. Moana Pacifica, we now know that Miracle Failangi has been given the honors to lead the team, replacing Adi Savea, who's now playing in Japan. So Failangi is one player that that a lot of things will depend upon, especially leading the side. But the good thing is he has players like Julian Savea, Nganilo Mape, who's also joined the team, David Havili, Patrick Pellegrini, those who have come through the season in 2025-2024 there to help him. And the way it looks with their build up at the moment, their game on February 14th, when they kick off their Super Rugby Pacific campaign for 2026, is shaping up to be a thriller and an exciting game. The Drua will be hosting that game in Fiji, and a lot will come out of that game, and that will also set a direction for both teams as they head into the season this year.
That's Pacific Waves for today. For all episodes, head over to rnz.co.nz/Pacific. We're also on Spotify, Apple and iHeartRadio. From myself and the RNZ Pacific team, tō whā soifua.